I have the honor of representing an incredibly brave constituent and proud fellow Philadelphian, LaTanya Morrison. Her grandson, Ahmad Butler, tragically died of a rare form of brain cancer at just 6 years old.
Hey guys, welcome back to a Hope for a Cure podcast. I'm LaTanya Morrison.
And I'm Jason Collins.
So, today's episode was really not planned. You know, Jason, sometimes some of the most important moments, they just aren't planned. And this happens to be one of them.
We were actually supposed to have a guest today, but due to an exciting development, we decided to share with our viewers what's going on. What we're about to share with everyone is something historic, something exciting.
It sure is. It sure is. So, Jason, how are we going to unpack this? I guess first I want to share with just our new subscribers that Jason and we run the Ahmad Butler Foundation. The Ahmad Butler Foundation is a nonprofit named after my grandson that supports families who are battling pediatric cancer and other life-threatening childhood diseases. And we had oh my gosh, last year was very eventful for the Ahmad Butler Foundation. In the beginning, we shared with everyone that we will be just talking about all the amazing nonprofits that are supporting families and that are making a difference for the pediatric cancer community. Where do we start, Jason?
And no, it is a lot. It's been a very exciting few months, and everything that, when we started this podcast, I remember you telling everybody, we're going to bring it.
We're
Um,
going to wrap it.
we really, I think that we're living up to what we're telling people. I don't know, maybe I'm just
I
boasting. I don't
do,
know.
I do too. And you know what happened was there was a chain of events, and sometimes these events change everything.
Right.
So in September we had our second annual uh, 1 million families march for the cure of childhood cancer, and it was just so devastating to just hear the stories of so many of the families that we serve and just feel like nothing is being done. So at the march, we had people come out. We marched a mile and a half just to raise awareness. It was amazing, but it just wasn't enough.
Mhm.
We needed to take that march to Washington D.C. And that was the original plan, to have the 1 million families march in Washington, D.C. and 12 other cities. But sometimes things don't go as planned. So, Jason, I believe we were in a meeting, and our data and analytics division director, Yegu, she told us that they were cutting pediatric cancer. That infuriated me. How in the world can you cut something and expect a change to happen? We know that these families, they don't have no fight in them to fight and advocate for more funding.
Mhm.
They are fighting alongside their child. Children are dying and they're going to cut funding. I was not okay with that. So I went to my husband, Keith, And I told him, I am getting ready to do something drastic. And Keith said, please don't do nothing drastic. I said, I am. I'm angry. And Keith said, what are we going to do? And that was the start of history being made. And I didn't know what at the time. And then I said, I'm walking to Washington. And he's like, you cannot walk to Washington. So I have a bone disease and I have to have surgery every other day, every other month, just so that I can walk normally. He was not having that. I said, what if I get permission from my doctor? Will you give me a hard time? He said, if you get permission from your doctor, if you listen to your body, you have my full support. So the appointment was made. I spoke with the doctor, and the doctor said, you cannot walk 179 miles.
Nope.
Yeah, he's like, what are you thinking of? I said, listen, I'm going to be strategic. We'll walk 10 to 15 miles a day. If I can't do it, I'll stop. But I'll know my limit as I walk. And that was the plan. So it evolved because Jason, that's when you came in and you were like, okay, so we got to get coverage on this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, you were saying we need coverage. We need to start having meetings. So we gathered our team together, and Journey and Courtney and Sherry, Deonda, they actually were calling and making appointments on days that we weren't walking with different members of Congress. And the goal at the beginning was for them to hold the line, for them not to cut pediatric funding. But Jason, then you had conversations with the I forget what it's called.
I'll
The
take the PBTC.
Yes.
The Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium. To give you an idea, is when I started with ABF, I'm still learning about the pediatric cancer issue. When I learned about the 4%, it blew my mind, and then the proposed cuts, and that's why we had to do something that wasn't just symbolic, and we have to do something tangible. We have to do something with action, and that's what this all is developed. And through our meetings with congressional staff, and as I'm doing research, that's when I learned about the Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium, which is the only consortium that specializes in childhood brain tumors, and which is the number one killer cancer for children. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but regardless, they are facing, because of those proposed cuts, they were facing, losing their 5-year grant. They apply for a grant every 5 years. They've been around since 1999. It is devised of 16 academic hospitals in the country, of all these specialists that specialize in brain tumors for children. Well, now they are facing these closures because of the proposed budget cuts. Or, they say other reasons, I'm not quite sure, but regardless, when we started seeing this program is closing, but yet they're saying all this progress is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Where?
and then we're doing
Where is it?
research. We're doing the Fairness to Kids Act, give the kids Give the Kids a Chance Act, the Fairness to Kids with Cancer Act. There's so many acts that are out there, and yet the national urgency is still not met. It's still not there. And in my mind anyway, when I'm seeing, I'm sitting in these meetings and I'm seeing congressional staff talk about this, and in my research, I'm finding about the Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium. And this is tangible stuff. They are actually closing, and unfortunately, they just closed their doors March 2026. Their funding, they halted their trials. Kids that are currently on trials
that
were
were
trans
that were doing great.
that were doing them. They do amazing
And
work. They didn't
I just
close
want
because
to
of
add,
lack of progress. I'm sorry.
no, please.
No, I was gonna say they didn't close because of lack of progress. They didn't
Right.
close because they weren't doing their job. They
It's
closed
lack
for
of
another.
money. Lack of money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when your child is fighting for their lives, that feeling of hopelessness and helplessness, I've never felt anything like that. It makes you scared. You know, you look at your child. Imagine looking at your child. Sometimes we look at our children and laugh. Sometimes we look at our children and get angry at something that they've done. We look at them with pride. Like, I can't believe I made that little one. Imagine looking at your child and saying, is today going to be his or her last day with me? Imagine that.
And I can't. When I was looking at that clip that we're going to show with when Secretary Kennedy speaks, he says, "I couldn't imagine losing a grandchild or a child, and hopefully he'll never have to experience that." He made
Right,
something along those lines, and I remember looking at him. I'm thinking, I know that's true, but I
right.
know that's not your
That is
experience.
something, right. That is something that all of us have. Every parent, every grandparent, that take us, don't take them. That's
Right.
something that they all have. And and to get back to the walk. So this walk that we were doing, it meant something.
Mm,
It meant that we would raise attention because we all know about pediatric cancer. We said that on the very first episode of the show.
yeah, we know we're
We don't
aware.
need to raise awareness of it. You
Hmm.
all know enough about it to not want it to touch your children. But the families who are out here, whose lives this horrible disease touched, they are looking for hope. They are looking for help. They are looking for someone to step up and have their back. When I grew up, when a bully messed with someone, you'd have someone that was the bully size and say, "Don't you worry about it. I have your back." And it made you feel better. We should all have the backs of these families who are fighting this horrible disease. We should have the back. The
Absolutely.
onus is on us. So I am walking. It is nothing else I could do but walk, and walk such a long way that it makes people stop and look.
Hmm.
And that's what we did. And in walking, one of the things when we were all sitting around and talking about it as a team, they're like, you got to go live.
Right.
Everyone knows I hate social media, but my team is like, nope, you have to go live. And live it was. And I'm so glad that they pushed me on that because I did not want to do that. But they pushed me and said, no, you have to go live. Because when it came to us trying to get an appointment with my congressman, one of the things is, wait a minute, you guys walked 179 miles and you're almost done? We're like, yes. He didn't believe it. He said, did you document it? I said, yes, we went live from Facebook every time we walked. And he said, okay, I will see what I can do to get the congressman to come out to you. So in between, we were meeting virtually with Congress members from all over the United States, begging them to hold the line. Don't do this to these kids. I've said this over and over again that everyone always talks about the definition of insanity, and that doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. What is doing less and expecting a better result?
Right.
What is that? So onward we walked through snow, through rain, through sleet and hell, literally. Literally through mountains and valleys and countries, dirt roads, cornfields, where there was no civilization because we use the Google Maps. And the way we did it was to walk 10 miles, and wherever we stopped, we would start that next day
Mhm.
and walk 10 miles more. And I'm telling you guys, at the end of the day, I literally needed help to get into the house. Jason, I used to tell you that all the time. I'm prone to blisters on my feet. My feet would bleed from the blisters. I wrapped them. I went and got expensive shoes, expensive inserts, but at the end of the day, my socks were bloody.
Well, one thing I want to tell you, and I was with you every day, in the mornings, hearing you, and I don't know how you did. I would see what you would suffer, and your what do you call it, your gait was really off or
Mm.
whatever. So that was, I mean, but you really you did it.
So right. And a lot of people don't have to deal with a memory of their children. They can talk to their children.
And that's what the point I was going to say on that is seeing you go through that, seeing the pain that you were going through, and going back to what I was saying before, when I would speak to Dr. Dunkel, Ira Dunkel, he is the director with the Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium, and I would tell him that you're out there and doing this every day, for the cause and for the, it's really it was really inspiring to see you do that, and I was in awe of you.
Thank you for that. And it wasn't easy. There has been times because after a while, it just started getting very cold. So we had hand warmers, and I talked to my poodoo, Ahmad. I talked to him every day. And I would just talk to him and say, Pooh, I don't know how I'm going to do it today. I'm going to give it everything that I got.
Mm.
So there was this one day that I couldn't do the full 10 miles. Something in my hip was just clicking, and it made me walk with a limp. And I'm like, Keith, and this was when we were going over this beautiful, it was a
Bridge.
long, beautiful bridge. And I just couldn't do it. I said, when we get to the end, I'm going to have to stop. But other than that, and that meant that we had to, instead of the next time we walking 10 miles, we had to walk 10, 12.5 miles.
But yeah.
Then there was a time where the GPS went bad and it took us 3 miles out of the way. So we actually walked what more like 184 miles.
Wow.
But and there were times because it was just my husband and I, it was just Keith and I. There were no people standing outside to get us water. There were no cheerleaders. There were no rah rah people. It was just he and I. He and I walking with the purpose of fighting for these families, of making a difference, not knowing how it would end, but our goal was to do something. And that's where you came in, and you got all the media, and then we started getting interviews.
Hmm. Hmm.
It still wasn't as big as we wanted it to be, but I guess in hindsight, it's bigger than we thought it would be.
And let me ask you this. I know, and I've always wanted to ask you, and I know through all our meetings, I've been talking about the Fairness to Kids with Cancer Act. I've been talking about Give the Kids a Chance Act. And I'm naming all this. I'm talking about the Pediatric Brain Tumor Consortium. I'm talking about the failures of this. And then what came to be?
Right, because when we're meeting with the different council members, Jason is bringing all of this up because my goal was to ask for them to hold the line.
Mm-hmm.
His goal was to make sure they would sponsor these acts that would make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And then we both kind of came to this conclusion at the same time, like, wait a minute, why don't we have an act?
Right.
Because although those acts are wonderful, they still leave this gap.
Right.
They still put us in the same situation. Whereas though once a new administration comes in, and all of that work goes away. And I I'm a chef by trade. And the analogy that I use is it's as if you have a new chef every 4 years, but we'll use 45 minutes just to keep it in the same chef spirit. So let's say a new chef comes every half an hour, and this chef wants to bake this cake. So I come in, I prep, and I put my cake in the oven. The time for the cake to bake completely is 40 minutes. But once I do my prep, once I put everything together and I put it in the oven, there's only 15 minutes left before another chef is going to come in and tell me to take my toys and go home. So now this other chef comes in and he does the same exact thing that I did. And once his cake gets into the oven, 15 minutes is cooking before the next chef comes and say, okay, you have to take your stuff and go. How can we achieve a goal? Just stand with this analogy of baking a cake if it does not the magic and the love and the soul of all of these different chefs when they put their creation into the oven, there is not enough time for it to fully come to be a cake. It is the same story with pediatric cancer. If you're getting funding, and this funding is for 4 years, and these amazing people, the most brilliant people in the world, they're doing tests, they are experimenting, and someone could be on the brink of making it happen, of finding a cure, of finding a clinical trial that works, that slows it down. And then that 4 year period is up, and they have to take their things out and they have to leave for the next person not to start where they stopped, but to start all over again.
And the cycle repeats.
And it repeats itself. And guess what? The families who are wishing and hoping for a miracle, that miracle will never come because we're doing the same thing over and
Over.
over and
Yes,
over.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And now they want us to do it with less. So when we thought about the act, of course, we wanted to name it after my grandson, our foundation, Ahmad Butler, pediatric cancer, Hope for a Cure Act. Hence the name of the Hope for a Cure podcast. But the purpose of this act is to fill in the gaps. The funny thing was when we met with Congress member Brendan Boyle,
Mhm.
and he noticed that we had pay for. He said, where did you learn that terminology from? And what that means is there are a lot of different acts and amazing bills, but there's not enough money to pay for what the act entails. So when we considered that, and we were like, okay, let's give the power to the people, right, Jason?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right.
And that's when we came up with a lunch for a cure, which
Which
is
is
part
great.
of this act.
Which is great. And what is the lunch for the cure? Can you explain that to me?
Yes, and that is, that is people like us, you and I, because everybody always saying, you hear it and I hear it too. I wish there was something that I can do.
Right.
And this act allows people to do something. You can brown bag your lunch one time, twice a month, once weekly, and the funds that you would spend on your lunch, you contribute that to a hope for a cure. And the United States Treasury would hold the funds and would use the funds specifically to find a cure for pediatric cancer. The goal is to raise $2 billion. So Congress can't say, wait a minute, we don't have $2 billion. Where are we going to get it from? You're going to get it from the people. The people are going to support this. The people are going to contribute to their children. It's not going to go to a nonprofit. It won't go to operations or paying staff. 100% of the funds from a lunch for a cure will go to that $2 billion that we're trying to raise. And that $2 billion will be spread over a 10-year period. So our most brilliant people could continuously, for 10 years, look for a cure for pediatric cancer.
And they're
And
not subject to the cuts
it's
from
not
the
subject to the cuts, and it doesn't take away from the 4% that we're already getting.
mm-hmm. And it puts it back in the hands of the people. Just like everything else that we're trying to accomplish right now, put it back to if the administration is the government's not going to do it, we are. We're taking
That's
that
right.
action.
That's right. That's right. And in the beginning of the podcast early on, we shared that with you. We shared we're going to come to you guys. And we waited and we waited. And now that we're able to share that with you, we are putting it out there. Not only are we going to put it out there with you, we're going to put it on billboards. We're going to speak with our athletes. We're going to make sure that the United States citizens know that they can support children who are battling this awful disease. Just with brown bagging their lunch and using the funds that they would normally pay for lunch and contributing it to that $2 billion. I know that if it were yours, if your child was battling for their lives, you would want everyone to help. And we're not talking about people who don't have it, because we understand people don't have it. But we're talking about people that go out and they pay for lunch every day or 4 or 5 times a day. We're talking about these people. And I believe that humanity will show up for this.
Absolutely.
So, Jason, we've been talking a lot, and I wanted to show everyone the video. We are so grateful to Humanity Pictures
Mm.
and Emilio Productions because they captured the walk. Not only did they capture the walk and documented it, they made it into a short film that was nominated for an award. Can you believe that?
Yeah, David Goodman and Million Media they did an amazing
They
job
did an
with this.
amazing job.
It was Nicole and David are amazing. Their work is just it stands out in the documentary, I've just been in awe every time I watched it. It's good work.
You see why they're award winning producers,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. I'm
I
excited.
mean, they just captured it. They
And New
captured
York Film
moments that,
Festival.
yes, They captured moments that we didn't even. Let me tell y'all something. When Keith and I were walking, David was walking with us up those hills. You feel those hills, you don't feel them in a car. But when you're walking, I was crying for my mama. I told Jason, I was like, Jason, if I ever come up with a something drastic, tell me to knit a sweater. Remind me. It was not easy.
No.
But one day we come up and David is laying on the ground capturing the shots. I'm like, wow. They had the actual the drones, getting drone footage. They captured the moment, and wow. Can we share that with them?
Yeah, that would be great. And like I said, it's a special mention now in the New York Film Festival. I think it's a fantastic document. I would love to share it.
Okay, guys. So without further ado, we're going to bring it on.
We're fighting for kids with cancer. We are walking to DC, step by step, all the way from Philadelphia. Fighting for kids with cancer, man. For kids with cancer. Hi, I am. Hi, Jay. How you doing?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay.
A long walk for pediatric cancer crossed the finish line and arrived in Washington, D.C. today. Members of the Ahmaud Butler Foundation started in Philadelphia and walked 10 miles a day for 18 days and made it to our nation's capital.
How did you get the idea for this?
When we found out that there was a proposed budget cut, I told my husband, I was like, I was on fire. I said, listen, I'm going to do something drastic.
The reason for the walk is to deliver a petition and ask lawmakers to avoid cuts to cancer research.
I'm the father of an 11-year-old. I can't think of anything worse in life than losing a young child.
It's the absolute worst thing.
Yeah.
And actually I'm going to do a trade because I have a little bit of a surprise here. I'm going to present this to you, but it's really to everybody.
Thank you.
I have a congressional proclamation that I knew you were getting here, and we'll here. Why don't you get the Capitol?
Okay. Nice to meet you, Congressman Bresnan. We want to present to you our petition.
Oh my gosh!
We have over 600 families. We heard that you're a champion for families who are battling cancer. 609 families.
Wow.
We gave Congressman Brendan Boyle, he said he would be working with you, will be reaching out to you, the Ahmaud Butler Pediatric Cancer Hope for a Cure Act.
Okay.
Our goal is to, and I know you were looking for superhero kid Jackson.
Yeah, we met him during Thanksgiving at Great Wolf Lodge with the Wigs and Wishes program.
They said you were amazing. They said you were amazing. I thank you for that. Unfortunately, he's in a hospital.
Okay.
And so he couldn't be there. His Nona told me to send you her love. My grandson received treatment that was made for adults and animals because there weren't any methods of treatment for him. How is that okay? I'm not okay with that. It is no way in the world that I was going to allow cancer to live and my grandson is dead.
Now you guys see what I mean when we were saying that they really did an amazing job. Oh my gosh. We were so excited when we first got that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let me ask you a question. Can you smell what BS smells like?
Oh, oh my gosh. We walked through Amish country. Beautiful. But yes, I can smell what BS, I can tell you
Hell, what
that I
BS?
know what BS smells like
I
because we
love that.
smelled it for miles
Hmm.
and miles and miles. I was like, oh, and I have a very sensitive nose. So it was like, oh,
So you
no.
learned it there, so you knew when we were going to arrive at the Capitol, we weren't going to come with BS.
I know that's right.
Hmm.
We came with it when we came
That's
to the
right.
Capitol. At that time, and so that Friday, because we didn't know that Congressman Boyle was going to meet with us, and every meeting that we had, Jason was like, "Okay, so can we get a proclamation?"
Oh,
And I'm
there's a lot, yeah, a lot of
right,
things we were
and
asking.
I'm like, I'm not, I wasn't worried about that. I just want to make it. I just want to make it.
I
Oh
just
my
wanted to
God.
get recognition for what you were doing, so everybody I
And
spoke to asked.
David, yes, he was like on it. So when Friday came, we stopped walking that Tuesday. That would be our last walk. So I had already had this conversation with Sean, who is Congressman Boyle's. I think he is his chief of staff or his scheduling person. But Sean and I both have that same aggressive type personality. And I'm like, Sean, I said, I am Congressman Boyle's constituent. We have had meetings with everyone. And I didn't have to go through all of these questions.
Hmm.
Like, why are you asking all of these questions as if I'm not walking? He was like, no, 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 no. I believe you. We went through the Facebook and we saw all the different walks. He said, we're just trying to make sure that we have our ducks in a row. And I said, thank you. And he says, someone will be in touch. And he said, could you give us a copy of that act, the Hope for a Cure Act? And I said, sure. And I believe you sent it to him, didn't you?
Hmm.
So Jason sent him the act. And then Gianluca is Congressman Brendan Boyle's chief of staff. Gianluca and Jason were talking. Gianluca and I were talking. And on Friday, it was a bunch of calls and a bunch of emails. And I'm like, what is this about? And Gianluca was like, "Hey, Latanya, we believe that Congressman Brendan Boyle will be able to meet you guys at the Capitol." We were like, "Great!" And then we have one of our superhero kids, Jackson. His Nona called, and she was like, "Hey, you guys should ask Congressman Rob Bresnahan. He's really good. He helped us out a lot. Ask him if he would meet you too." So Jason, for those of you who don't know, Jason is our comms director. And Jason arranged all of this. He was like, focus on walking. Because he knew I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. But when I tell you the love that we received from social media, the encouragement that we received through emails and letters, the prayers, we had so many people who were just standing behind us. And those people were standing behind me, pushing me up, like, go ahead, you ain't,
Well,
nope.
and something along the way too is that you brought with you a petition. You
Yes,
wanted to bring support, and that was the cool thing that we wanted people to understand. We didn't want you just to show up. We wanted you to come with an army, and that's what you
yes.
did.
And yep, that's exactly what we did. We had a petition that was signed by over 600 families. I
Mm.
think it was like 609 to be
In
exact.
over 29 countries or 29 states or
29
something.
states
Mm. Right.
that were standing behind us and saying, nope, they did not come along alone. They came with a army of 609 families.
So even though you weren't walking physically, or you were walking physically alone, you had an army of 600 plus families right there with you.
Absolutely.
That was
Absolutely.
awesome. That was a
And
great
that made a difference too.
hmm
So now we're going back to Friday, and Friday, they told us that the congressman will be there. So I'm like, great. So now the last walk is that Tuesday. That's it. We should have crossed over into the District of Columbia, maybe an hour or so into the walk.
hmm
I was so excited and nervous, and I was a ball of emotions. I was a ball of emotions. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant to say Emilio Media for Nicole's company. I know you caught that, Jason, but I just wanted to make that correction. But just being, and when I tell you, Jason, David and Nicole, they came to our house early in the morning. And I have this little thing that I do every morning for my poodoo. I have my poodoo's earned. And when Ahmad was alive, Cheetah, his stuffed animal, was his best friend. So we gave Cheetah his own theme song. And it goes, Cheetah, 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 chee chee, cheetah dee 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 dee, chee chee, cheetah dee 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 dee, chee dee dee dee, cheetah. And Ahmad loved that song.
Another cheetah.
It was just, he loved it. Like, he had us singing that all the time. But that is how I wake up in the morning. I wake up singing that song, and I cut his light on, and I kiss his urn, and that's how I start my day. I don't want anyone else to start their day by kissing their child's urn, by kissing their child's teddy bear.
Mm.
That's not the way it's supposed to be. So when I woke up that morning, I was a ball of emotions. When David came in, the first thing they did was they started shooting. And I was just nervous. I don't know why. I was just a ball of emotions. And I was just sharing that once we got to our destination to do the remainder of the miles, because I think it was more like 7 miles, not 10 miles. And he put a microphone on my neck, on my collar. So I understand how people get caught on a hot mic, because you don't forget it's there. So he had the microphone on. I'm on live. We're walking through the streets. And when I saw welcome, the sign that said, "Welcome to the District of Columbia," my emotions just poured out.
That was great.
And I'm in the middle of the street screaming, "Yay, we did it!" And I'm spinning around. I couldn't control myself. Keith looks at me. He's like, "Did you drink soda last night?" I'm like, "Yeah, I did drink soda last night." He was like, "Oh my gosh, you just have an extra boost of energy." And when we got closer to the Capitol, that's when you came on, like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "We're almost there." And you're like, "Walk faster." Oh my gosh, I'm trying. When we got there, to see those beautiful, magnificent buildings in person, ooh, they are breathtaking. I talked to my poodoo. He said, "We did it, Pooh. We're here." And that's when we presented the act and the petition. And while the family, like you guys saw where our family was over there and they were talking with Congressman Brendan Boyle,
Mm-hmm.
I went over to Gianluca to find out, okay, we made it here, but here is just the beginning. What's next? Because we don't want this act to be lost or our excitement to drown what we came here for, this purpose. And when I talked to Gianluca, Gianluca was like, no one told you? And I said, no. Told me what? He said, your act, the Ahmaud Butler Pediatric Cancer Hope for a Cure Act, is illegal. Like, what? It's illegal?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know what that meant, but I knew it meant something. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, it means that they are preparing it, making sure the wording is good so that they can take it to Congress and present it on the floor for a vote to turn it into a law. I almost passed out.
That's exciting. So exciting.
My knees literally started wobbling. And then you and I were talking, and you were like, we need to make pediatric cancer a national health emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand the importance of that. I'm like, okay, all right, let's do it. But why are we doing that? And that's when you.
Well, I mean, again, going back to the research with, I was trying to support you in what you were doing, and I was educating myself, and when learning about it and during all our research, we realized in the past, things that's happened in the past, what's really, and the rest of the world advances, but pediatric cancer is left so far behind as the world advances, right? So, what would change that? And real urgency would. So, if you look in history and you look at, unfortunately, HIV/AIDS in 1980, 1990, it was a death sentence until national attention was brought to it. And once it was, it's now treatable. And then fast forward to 2013, when obesity was finally recognized as a disease. Once it was recognized as a disease, again, our national focus was on it. Pharmaceutical companies invested, researchers were in. I mean, it changed the
Makes all the
ballgame.
sense,
So
yes.
why can't we do the same with pediatric cancer?
And when Jason told me that, I was like, why hasn't anyone done this before?
Mhm.
Let's do it. So we typed up letters. We sent certified letters to the White House, to Congress, to senators, to the CDC, to NIH, to Secretary Kennedy. We sent them all, and because Congressman Brendan Boyle said that he was going to present this act on the Congress floor, he said he would find a Republican sponsor. We thought it right to send it to him because if it's declared, if pediatric cancer is declared a national health emergency, then it opens up all types of funding and all types of support for families who are battling this horrible disease. So that's what we did. We sent this letter out, certified, to all of these different agencies that had I've always told my children, don't you take a no from someone who's not able to tell you yes. We sent this to people who were able to say, yes, we can do this. Not only did we send it to them, we followed up. We put it on record. Once we had it on record, Then we sent well over 300 emails to all of the nonprofits that support pediatric cancer, along with a letter. And that letter is for all of these nonprofits to sign on to this letter so that we could present it together. That didn't go well. But onward we marched.
Right.
Onward we march. And we are so grateful for Emmerman Angels, because Emmerman Angels are very supportive. And you know, Emmerman Angels, they don't just support pediatric cancer. They support people, the caregivers who are taking care of families and loved ones that have cancer. So they support the caregivers, and it's any type of cancer. I'm going to put it in if you guys look here, you could see it now. This is how you reach out to Emmerman Angels. If you know of anyone who is going through caring for someone that has any type of cancer, if you know of anyone who is suffering or grieving someone they lost from cancer, please reach out to Emmerman Angels. They are amazing mentors.
Amazing organization.
Amazing organization. So hats off to them. So now, coming back to our mission of trying to get pediatric cancer declared a national emergency. So we go back to the person who has been just supportive of this, who is Congressman Brendan Boyle and his whole staff. So they met with us and they updated us, they shared. So a month goes by, and this was last month. Sent some emails, a month goes by, and we don't hear anything. So give Gianluca a call and say, hey, we haven't heard anything. No, I'm sorry, I sent him an email. So Gianluca came back. He was like, oh my gosh, we're so sorry. We thought you guys were up to date. So he says, everything is going great for the act. Okay. We're excited about that.
Mm-hmm.
Then Thursday comes, which is yesterday. Not yesterday to you guys, but yesterday we take
Depends what day
this
you
on
watch this.
Friday, right? We take this on Friday night. So Thursday comes, and I get another call from Gianluca, which is really weird because he never calls back to back unless something is going on. So I'm sitting there like jittering, like, okay, something is going on. What's going on, Gianluca? He was like, Latanya, so sorry for calling. I said, you don't have to worry about being sorry for calling me. He said, I got some good news for you. I said, okay. He said, at the Ways and Means meeting, the congressman, and it's not just him, but all of Congress, they get 5 minutes. They get time to either ask questions or make a statement. And he says, the congressman chose to make a statement about the Hope for a Cure Act. I'm like, wow, that's great. Do you have a video of it? And he said, yes. So Jason and I had a meeting, and our meeting was pushed aside because we watched it together. And I tell you guys, all I could do was this. And I felt tears building up. In my head, it's poo to do. Baby, you're helping a lot of people.
That was his wish.
That was his wish. He wanted to be a police officer when he grew up, so he could help a lot of people. He's doing it.
Oh my goodness, is he ever?
He's doing it through me, through you, through all these different amazing people that come together at the Ahmaud Butler Foundation to fight for these families who are in the fight of their lives. It's the least we could do. So I know we did a lot of talking, and the show is coming to an end. But one of the things that we always have to do is we always have to thank the people that help make things possible. And in this case, it's a two-party factor. Of course, we thank Congressman Brendan Boyle for not just standing with us, but for giving us this boost, for keeping his word, for being a man of the people, for holding truth to his oath. We elected him to do something, and he does it every day, and we appreciate him. And to Secretary Kennedy, it takes so much more than just one person. And we appreciate that you were willing to listen and that you are willing to help. I think it's the compassion and the love you have for your grandchildren. But we can do this. But we need you. We need you. We need the president. We need Congress. This is a moment in time that's different. It feels different. It feels hopeful. And we want to make sure that you, all of you, know how much we appreciate you. Thank you, guys.
Really well said. Really well said, Latanya. And I say it all the time that we can all do more than hope for a cure. And that means so much more today than any other episodes, in my opinion, so far. And on that note, I think we should let Congressman Boyle have the actual last word and to close out this episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We finally get a chance to share. We done teased enough.
And I know we've been talking about it.
We finally get a chance to share with everyone what made our day yesterday, what filled everyone with just excitement and hope. Please watch till the very end. And with that, I say, later, Gators.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. I'm hoping this can be constructive and have a conversation with you. I have the honor of representing an incredibly brave constituent and proud fellow Philadelphian, Latanya Morrison. Her grandson, Ahmaud Butler, tragically died of a rare form of brain cancer at just 6 years old. Last year, she and her family marched 179 miles on foot from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C., to bring attention to the critical need for childhood cancer research funding. I met her right outside here on the Capitol steps and had a wonderful but also heartbreaking conversation with her, and have been working with her and her family since then. Specifically working with her on a proposal called the Ahmaud Butler Childhood Cancer Hope for a Cure Act, to make sure that no grandparent, parent, or loved one has to go through what she and her family experienced and continue to experience this day. That hole in her heart will never go away. So my concern is, and I have no doubt that you have concern for this constituent I just described and all those who particularly have lost a child to this horrible form of cancer. But at the same time, your administration, or you as secretary in this administration, are carrying out hundreds of millions of dollars in cuts to cancer research funding. So I was wondering if you could explain why you're doing that, and does that really get us anywhere closer to getting a cure that we all want to cure this horrible disease?
First of all, thank you for sharing that heartbreaking story. And, you know, the worst thing that can happen to a human being is to lose a child or a grandchild. And it's something that I hope that I never have to experience. And my heart goes out to that family. The one agency that within my agency, and the only agency within NIH that actually got a budget boost from our proposal, was NCI. And we, you know, we're absolutely committed to cancer research, and particularly pediatric cancer research. I invite you, Congressman, to call me to tell me if there are programs. Some of our programs were duplicative, so we've moved them around, and it looks like there was a cut, but I don't know of any major cancer studies that have been cut. I'm happy to talk to you about it. You reach out to me.
If you could, after this, sorry, just because you know we're time limited and I've under a minute now. So I appreciate that. And if our staffs could follow up, or you and I directly with one another after this. And I would just ask if I could get your pledge, not for me, but for my constituent, if I could get your pledge that you will work with me, my staff, the White House, to get the president to declare childhood cancer a national emergency, which would, as you know, help unleash additional resources and really focus the attention that we need on childhood cancer.
Yeah, in theory, I like the idea. Let's talk about the details. You know, we've already done, the president already signed an executive order on pediatric cancers. I was there at the time. So I need the devil's in the details, but in theory, I absolutely support that proposal, and I'm happy to work with you and your staff on it.
Thank you, and I yield 0 time back.